Hi, Dr. Straehley.
Well, hi, Elizabeth.
I really enjoyed a lot to listen your memories and when you used to work as a surgeon.
Yes.
And I would love to hear a couple of memories you have about your job.
All right, I'll be happy to dredge up from my memory a
Yes.
few of them. I remember probably the best remembered patient I ever had was a little beautiful Hawaiian girl by the name of Paulinia. She was 7 years old and she had a huge tumor in her abdomen.
Uh-huh.
And I performed an operation hoping to be able to resect the tumor.
Mm-hmm.
However, it surrounded the aorta, the vena cava, and all of the major blood vessels leading out of the vena cava and the aorta. So all I could do was a biopsy.
Oh my God.
And the biopsy examination showed it to be a liposarcoma. Well, after her surgery, she began to lose weight quite steadily. She couldn't eat, but she could drink fluids all right.
Uh-huh.
And one day she said to me, "Dr. Straehley, am I dying?" Well, I knew that if I lied to her, she would lose faith in me,
Yes.
upon whom she depended for care. And the thrust of her question indicated that she probably already suspected the fact that she had a fatal illness. So I said to her, "Yes, Paulinia, God has decided to take you up to heaven with him." Then she made an interesting request. She said, "Dr. Straehley, would you take me to the Waikiki Pancake House
Oh my
one
God.
more time?" So on the following Sunday, the chief nurse and I arranged with the manager of the Pancake House to have a table set aside for Paulinia. And using a gurney and an ambulance, we took her to the Pancake House. Well, all of the
see.
people came by to greet her. They kissed her, and one of the employees gave her a lei, and several of them sat down with her for their pancake breakfast. The poor little girl could only nibble a tiny bite or two, but she obviously enjoyed herself. She was laughing and gay. And when we got back to the hospital after this, for her very festive occasion, she said to me, "Dr. Straehley, when I die, and I'm sorry, this always moves me emotionally
I see.
when I tell it. When I die, would you sit beside me and hold my hand?" So I wrote an order in the nursing order book that regardless of the hour of the day, when her vital signs began to fail, they would call me. So one night, several days later, they called me, and I went to her bedside. And her last words were, "You came." So I sat beside her and held her hand, and in an hour or two, she died. And on her face was the most beautiful smile that I can ever remember seeing on a child. Well, that's a story that always moves me deeply when I tell it.
I understand perfect.
But this next story is about a soldier who came when I was in the Army of Occupation in Gießen, Germany. And he had on his forearm, he was a large man, a huge tattoo that was centered on a heart through which an arrow ran, and it said, "Love Rose Forever." And he said, "Doc, I want to have this removed." And in those days, before laser surgery,
Uh-huh.
The only way to remove a tattoo was to cut it off and replace it with a skin graft.
I see.
So I said to him, well, Sergeant, this is going to be a rather major procedure, and until the skin graft takes, which will be about 3 weeks in all, you won't be able to do your duty, so I want you to get your commanding officer's permission for this procedure. And so he said, well, that's reasonable. And a few days later, he came back to my clinic, and his commanding officer had agreed to the surgery.
I
So
see.
I removed the tattoo and put a skin graft in its place. And after the procedure, he said to me, Doc, would you pin it out on a board and give it to me? Well, it was his tattoo. So sure, I did that. Skin graft took beautifully. In 3 weeks, he went back to full duty, and I wanted to see the end result. So I had him come back about 4 weeks after the operation. The skin graft had taken beautifully. And so I said, Sergeant, what did you do with that skin graft? He said, I put it in a great big envelope and mailed it back to Rose.
Oh my God.
Because she had written me a Dear John letter after I'd been in Germany about 6 months. And now I'm engaged to marry Hilda, and Hilda doesn't want to stare Rose in
Oh
her
my
face for the rest
God.
of her life.
So thank you very much for share with me your memories.
Yeah?
And do you have a name for your book? What the name
Well,
is gonna be?
what I have done is I've written a book of memoirs so that the grandchildren will have something to remember Marnie and me after we have gone to our eternal sleeps. And it covers every aspect of my life and
Yes.
Marnie's life together with me.
It's great. Thanks a lot.
For your